Good morning, guys, and it is official. You only have 3 days left to get those courses for 90% off. And who didn't tell me that in my live video at the close yesterday that I'd spelled market wrong and I put amrkut? Damn it, guys. You got to keep me on my toes here. You got to keep me in check. But at least keeping me in check means that I can also give you guys a little bit of info as well. We can look for those daily expected moves. The daily expected moves for today for the SPY, a little bit bigger, right? These have about doubled. So now you have some volatility coming in before the Nvidia earnings. And one thing we're going to talk about early on is the dollar. So even if you're not watching this live, I'd stick around for the next 5 minutes because we're going to tell you something about the dollar that's happening right now. We do have 568.12 though to the upside for the day and 555 on the dot for today. And you notice that is pretty big, okay? Pretty big. So we'll pay attention to what's going on, but for the most part, we're going to have to get these on our charts and see what happens throughout the day. Qs, we got the same thing. We got a little bit bigger range, right? So we have a bigger range, and one of them is sitting down by the weekly expected move. Those ranges for the day for the Qs, 485, 86 to the upside, and we do have 467, 66 to the downside, just about $1 off from that weekly expected move. So we'll pay attention to that going forward. Looking at the shorter time frames and things like that, we could be in an overall 4-hour pullback at this moment. And something bad could be right around the corner. The dollar is actually showing the basing out signals that we talked about. The 2-hour divergence was created. Now we see that really starting to bottom out, confirming again that rejection on the 4-hour. If that starts to go positive, the daily scale might turn up and we might have ourselves a bottom in a very key area. All right, so this is an important area for the dollar. It looks like the dollar is trying to bottom before Nvidia earnings, and I think that's very interesting. Now you have to say the dollar is bottoming, but we have something like Nvidia earnings where if they want to prompt the market up higher or trap people, wouldn't they like Nvidia earnings to be a good signal? So I think what might take place here is we see a period of time where the dollar slowly bottoms and keeps going up while the stock market actually goes up, possibly with Nvidia earnings. And then next week we have to pay attention to jobs data, and we have to pay attention to something else, GameStop earnings, right? We have some stuff going on around pretty much all the problems that we have going on in the market. We have Nvidia earnings, we have the dollar problems going on. We also have GameStop that's giving out some earnings next week as well. So, and then we have jobs data right after that. So you have jobs data, you have dollar starting to pop, you have GameStop possibly going to give out some earnings and say what they're doing with that 4 billion or 4 billion, something like that in cash. So a lot could go on, but good morning and thank you for coming in today. Really appreciate you coming in, and make sure to give the channel a like on your way in. All right. Let's go over to this in case we want to make some polls today. Let's get this thing up and going. There we go. We got it up and going this morning. Good morning, Josh. How you doing this morning? How'd you sleep last night? Make sure if you need those ranges to quickly just go back and scan the early part of the video. The first couple of minutes there, we just showed the SPY and the Qs. But if you can wait, I mean, I'm sure we'll show the SPY and the Qs about 1,000,000 times today. One big signal we need to pay attention to if we do see weakness with that dollar bottoming. Remember, the dollar bottoms first. So I'm not leaning towards this, but I'm aware of this. If this curls down, you can have yourself almost like a double top. I'm still leaning towards the 2-hour actually curling up for some time, and then we see what happens going on into next week. So maybe that means we actually do fall down today, get down towards that line, and then we see this go like this, and then we start to pull down. What this would do, this would lead you into that September 6th standpoint there, and then we would have that daily divergence and a 2-hour divergence telling us there is weakness in this daily move. If that confirms, I will most likely buy volatility with both hands. That's what I'm going to say. Volatility can scale up with this kind of look, and we'll look at volatility and see as that thing is trying to curl up on a 2-hour, but noticing that is starting to fade. What I'm leaning towards here is a 4-hour divergence. We see that crossed over. If that crosses back up, yeah, we got to pay attention, but for the most part, I think we're going to see something like this take place, and then we'll lead on into, a divergence down here, just like the dollar. The dollar had a similar look, right? We can see all the divergences all the way across. I think that is going to end up being important here as this bottoms out. Maybe we break through this zone. Obviously, we can go up, left, head, right shoulder. I think that would be a good look for the dollar. But who else was watching the dollar and interested by it this morning? Good morning, Robert. Have a blessed day. Rupesh, I think market my range today, trap both longs and shorts till Nvidia results come out. I think that's a decent take. I think that's a decent take. Really trap people around during the day. I think that that makes sense. So what can we do to benefit from that? Well, we can pay attention to a 30-minute. We can pay attention to a 2-hour. We can see if that 30-minute gets kind of crossed down. If that crosses down, where is it? Negative territory. We can experience some weakness. Maybe we head to that daily expected move, right? And then that starts to curl back up after the Nvidia earnings. All of this is just some steam that needs to be rolled to the upside. We'll pay attention. Might go QQQ 475 plus. I think that that's definitely possible. I just think that because the Qs have this reversal signal on the 30-minute that we've been paying attention to, right? This is a reversal signal. If it needs to reload, though, go make another quick little point of divergence, I think that that would make sense. So we're paying attention to that. The reason that we have to still pay attention to downside, though, is because that 4 hours cross, you have some bigger momentum to the downside right now. Going to pay weekly dividend? Damn, that's interesting. I kind of like that. It allows you to exponentially grow a little bit quicker because you're always buying, as long as you're reinvesting the dividend, right? Exactly, Rupesh. I like that statement. All we can do is take trades at key levels with key signals, right? With key signals. This still was not the worst signal in the world, right? We ended up higher from this level. But for the most part, we wait, right? We're patient. We're patient. Are we just going to get a simple retest and then end up going to the upside? Or are we going to see something a little different? Right? As the dollar starts to really gain some steam here, you would say that's selling behind the tape, right? We can tell now what a bigger move from the dollar that we're looking for looks like compared to yesterday, right? We saw this. Okay, we're looking for the bigger move. That's what you're looking for, that rapid move upward, and the SPY really holding up pretty well with that. So we'll pay attention to it. It could be people just getting out, going into cash before Nvidia earnings, right? It could be something simple, but we need to pay attention to that dollar bottoming, especially with those type of signals. Those look like bottoming signals to me. We'll see how that PCC opens up. Remember, that PCC been pretty high lately, Dow giving a 2-hour divergence here as well. So, I mean, it doesn't all have to be rainbow and sunshine, right? We could experience some bad things. Apple starting off with that breakout to the downside now. That has a 2-hour signal as well. See Tesla not showing any reversals in this overall move, right? The 30-minute we were looking for. Hey, when that did cross up, the only problem with this cross up is look how flaggy that is. It's not any kind of breakout move. Yes, you can see positivity from these kinds of things, but as you're breaking down, it might need another dip lower. Good morning, Diana. How are you? Walgreens? I don't know the ticker for Walgreens, so. Wait, this isn't the right Walgreens, right? Make sure this is the right ticker for me. I think this is the right ticker, but who knows? Yeah, WBA, okay. So the thing with Walgreens that was good, was you saw this really starting to contract in here and get down here, get that tapering going, and you had a bunch of little divergences down here. Even on the daily scale, you would say, hey, that little divergence point there, that rejection was a good sign. But notice that was distributed down. So now you're crossing down on the daily, meaning downside is very, very likely. As we pull up in a 2-hour, you're going to see that 2-hour pointing down. Did it hold these divergences in here? Not really, right? That confirmed and then unconfirmed, telling you, uh-oh, downside potential and downside continues. So this had good signals. They did not play out. All right, this would be the management of the trade. If we look in here, we're going to see what? A 30-minute able to roll over right by the center line. And that is what should tell you, uh-oh, this isn't going to be a good trade anymore until that 30-minute whips back around. Now you do have this flatness on the RSI, but downward move on the MACD. So even if you gain some steam here, you can just continue that negative trend. If you can go positive, you can rebuild at any time, right? A stock can do anything at any time. But for the most part, you would say this is a negative trend. If we do get some kind of pop, maybe we test a breakdown area, and then we see if that can continue. So at this moment, if the 30-minute did roll up or flag out or something, look for that to get to the center line and then see if that does, just like what we did right here. So management of the trade really helping out with this one. SMCI still down pre-market. If you knew SMCI, what was I leaning towards for this? I think it was a 4-hour or a daily. Yeah, it was a 4-hour divergence. I really like this look, actually. So if we're able to do something like that after the Nvidia earnings, that would be a good sign. That would be pretty much a double bottom, and you're going to end up into a breakdown area, a sell zone again. So you actually could see a pretty good reaction here if we get good earnings. That's why so much depends on Nvidia earnings. That's kind of the sad truth, right? Good morning, everyone. Tesla doing some weird stuff again. I know it's Tesla. It's always doing weird stuff, and then it'll like what start to pop once everything pops. We'll see. For now, you have a 4-hour pullback for AMD, 2-hour pullback for the most part. So if that 2-hour can gain some steam, that would be a good sign. This 30-minute, it did confirm a couple times, but it's kind of flat, kind of wanting to roll down. So you would want that to exceed to the upside. We're starting to see that roll down, so maybe we make a little point of divergence or something again, trap some people and then head to the upside. But that dollar is scaling up, and right now they're pretty negatively correlated with the market. What we've had is pretty much a negative correlation with the dollar. We haven't seen as many rigged moves set up. But now you're seeing that dollar really start to increase while the market's holding up pretty good. So I think most likely direction here might be down to start the day. All right, we're opening up. Looks like the SPY opening up at 561.35-ish, starting to just start that battle, right? Start that battle. What's going on today? 3 days left. 3 days left. Well, I guess we'll say 5 days left because we're going to do it all the way until next Monday. But 5 days left to get that course for 90% off. You need something to learn over the weekend to catch why we're paying attention to this right here, why we're paying attention to 2-hour rollups, why we're paying attention to a 2-hour divergence being created up here. You might want to take the technical indicators course that is down in the description. It's going to be 90% off for 5 days, $100 for the next 5 days, and then that price is going up, and it's never going back down to that price point. So this is your last chance to get it. My birthday month is the month to get it. But as we look forward, we can look across at a lot of things. Dollar still really holding up pretty well at those higher levels. We have the Dow opening up pretty flat, right? Everything kind of opening up flat. And we do expect kind of a little back and forth. And Tesla actually going green here. Look at that. Tesla actually able to do it. That's more of a breakout. If we can get that to break out of this zone, I really like it. Come on, Tesla. Another one to pay attention to was Microsoft. That one kind of failing right now, trying to curl up the 2-hour. That 2-hour cross up is going to be pretty important. This is one that I'm paying attention to. I gotta get my stuff up real quick. Stocks wisdom, because crypto people are clueless and I need insights. Yeah, technical analysis on crypto is a lot different, Hoshi. And if you're paying attention to crypto, an easier thing to do is stop doing the tiny time frames. Anyone who's trying to trade crypto on a 15-minute time frame is, one, has a ton of stress on their hands, and two, probably has a hard time seeing which way those cryptos are able to go. And I'm just being genuine about that. That's very difficult to do. I'm sorry, my volatility play is worth 400% right now. Hold on, I gotta watch this for a second. The hell? Let's see here. Quick. Hold on, I gotta do some stuff here. Whoa. I bloody play. Absolutely bonkers right now. Volatility play kind of going nuts for a second here. See what's going on with this thing. We'll find out, but my goodness. Wow, Chewy. Let's go look at over at Chewy real quick. Chewy seeing some major upside. This will really benefit the short, or I'm sorry, the people fighting the short sellers, right? So this will really benefit those people. So some trades with AMC and GME, this can really break that dam. Look at that suppression coming in. It's going to have to be suppressed. Wow, that is crazy. So as that is happening, dollar popping off, what's happening with AMC and GME with that? AMC still remaining pretty flat, GME remaining pretty flat here. Wow, interesting stuff there. My gosh. Dow screaming down like crazy. Yeah, wanting to turn down here. This is what I'm saying. I think we see a flash move down maybe. I mean, this would make sense. According to the signals here, you're going to experience a daily pullback. And maybe you're able to still come up to this level. Okay, left head, remember right shoulder. So we'll pay attention to it, but that would mean we're going to see this daily cross down. And if you see this daily cross down, that is a major weakness in momentum between these levels. So that can be really bad. Wow. Interesting. Yeah, I think I might have just picked the right one. You know, sometimes it's just someone buying a lot of that option, creating demand for that option, but doesn't mean there's other people buying that option at that price point. That's kind of something there, but SMCI is down in the gutter for now. Watch for after the earnings. This is really collapsing here, seeing if that is going to produce some kind of good move to the upside after earnings with this 4 hour. That's coming down a little low, though. You'd want that to start to snap back. Yeah, Hoshi, something you can do to really help yourself out with technicals on Bitcoin or any crypto is to zoom out. Only the lowest time frame you should be looking at on crypto is a 2 hour chart. Just being genuine about it. If you do that alone, you just say the only low chart I'm going to look at is a 2 hour. That will really help you out. You can still look for divergence plays, breakouts from triangles and things like that. And then also looking at a 4 hour and a daily will really help you out. And as far as investing goes, just a monthly chart can go a long way. Kava, yeah, let's go look over that. Kava still heading to the upside. What were we saying about this? I think it was the 30-minute pullback still. So we're waiting for that 30 minutes to be able to curl up, telling us the next big move is coming. We'll watch out for divergence, but this next move could be a good one. Getting a nice scam likely to start the morning. That's a big ass drop off. That's a hard one to be like, oh yeah, let me take calls on that. But it does have a 4 hour divergence. That'll be interesting. Nvidia dropping down as of right now. AMD down 1.14%. I'd be paying attention to some weekly expected moves downside at this point. Seeing for now a curl down of that MACD to start the day. So most likely we are heading to lower levels as of this right now, right? We still have 22 minutes left. This is retail hour. A lot can happen before the close. You say Dixie up while indices down is a normal... it's a normal correlation is the way you say it more. So correlation. So at first, though, the SPY was flat and the dollar is really basing out. So you would say most likely that is selling behind the curtain. Why is that selling happening? Maybe it's people trying to get into cash before a big earnings. I don't know exactly, but I would say this. The dollar bottoming here, we can see that for some time. And if Nvidia does give good earnings and turn up that 2 hour chart and we see that signal and that dollar continues to rise, that would be something we pay attention to. But for the most part, yes, the dollar going up while stocks go down is the correct correlation there. It's a negative correlation. A positive correlation shows you some rigged behavior. Because eventually one of them's wrong, eventually one of them catches up. Let's see how that PCC opens this morning. I might even look into selling some of this volatility and just reapplying a position, because my goodness. I'm gonna watch this throughout the day, see if I can catch a good sell on this as people maybe try to go into volatility, especially if we see like a flash move down, kind of like over here. I think people could jump to volatility very, very quickly. But you're seeing this curl down, so that's not a good sign. Let's go check on the Qs. The Qs, seeing that curl down would not be a good sign. What would that mean? We're looking for the triple divergence at this point. If I see a triple divergence, I really think that we could see some positivity going forward. But at the same time, if this is going to spice up now, right? If this is really going to spice up now, we're going to see Nvidia actually give lackluster earnings, and we're down in this area and that earnings is bad. Well, you're right at where you could see something crazy, which means you could see something crazy, okay? So that's what I'm paying attention to at this moment. So if that daily crosses, you notice is right by negative territory, so. Nvidia expires today. I'm still in profit. Take it away. It just depends. I mean, it depends on how you do things. What I like to say a lot before earnings is, if I have a get out of jail free card and I can make some profit and leave a few contracts, that's what I like to do, right? We did that kind of with, I think it was maybe Apple back in the day. Maybe it was Apple. I think it was way back here. You see this earnings, how we saw the gap up here? Well, I found an entry here. Then I got out right before earnings with this upward move towards my little sell zone. Awesome. I got out there, but I kept a couple of contracts in case earnings were good, but I could use that with house money. I don't risk whatever I had in the initial trade, which is how I like to do it. So yeah, a lot of the time, if you get the get out of jail free card, then why not risk as much money? It doesn't mean you can't risk a little bit, right? You're downsizing the position. But me, I like to, if I'm in profit before in earnings, and because I like to play the signal, right? This is a daily divergence signal. I would love to play that. So I play that, make money in it, and then I have a couple of contracts with that house money. That way, if it does pop with earnings, I'm good to go. Right, so I can take profit in here, look for that 2-hour pullback, take the 2-hour cross up again, and then if that's positive, boom, I can benefit from that, and then we go up to my next sell zone, and I go, okay, now I'm out. Right, I really like that. So, but we're looking at Apple right now. If this turned down right now, would that be a good thing? No, it wouldn't. That would be a very bad thing. Let me see if I can sell a couple tracks here. I wonder if someone would. I hold on to that. I think that's telling me something. Dollar continuing to rise here. Let's kind of click through on some 2 hours, just see if we see any roll ups or rejections. Right now we haven't gotten that roll up from Tesla just yet. See if that can roll up in a positive. Really, we're looking for the swing trade at this point. You see the swing trade on the 2 hour. You see Nvidia, the swing trade still on the 2 hour. You see AMD, the swing trade on the 2 hour. You see Meta, swing trade on the 2 hour. Microsoft, swing trade on the 2 hour. Looking for maybe another point of divergence here for Microsoft, and then I might have to take a play. Google, not looking the best. This is one that I really thought was more weak in this area. Okay, so what you need to do here is more so you want to draw up some stuff and say, is that experiencing dramatic weakness? Well, right now you would say it kind of is, right? You can kind of clone this bad boy and say, what's happening here? Well, most likely you're in some kind of flagging pattern. So let's pay attention to that if that starts to break down. We could be making a 4-hour divergence, a daily divergence, anything like that. Netflix giving you a 2-hour rejection signal. So Netflix showing a major amount of weakness here, actually. Netflix really showing that downward significance of that divergence on the MACD, and it's pretty significant on the RSI and turning down. So this is all telling me that Netflix is about to experience a daily pullback. And that's just what it's saying right now. Now, we still have to pay attention to little 30-minute curl-ups and things like that. This 2-hour is not too close, right? It's within range, you would say, of going negative. But for the most part, you would say if that's still just curled up, that would say another big move is coming. AMC still looking for that to confirm back up on the 2-hour, as that 2-hour is getting kind of flat. GME looking for this to roll up on a 2-hour as well. Oh, maybe that's what I'll do. I got some money from some trades. Maybe we need to look at AMC a little bit here. Yeah, why not? Buy a little bit more AMC today. Who cares? It's not bad, just a little bit more. Okay, let's look at Sava, and then we're gonna go look at Siri, okay? Sava here, not the best signal, right? We kind of gave this because we were like, there's 30-minute divergence here if that wants to. What would be the structure? Well, you see the little structure in here, left, head, right shoulder, turns down, going negative. So you want to see our bigger time frames turning over, 4 hours turning over. So our bigger time frames turning over, dailies turning over. So as of right now, the most likely thing is you're going to the downside. Right now, that can really, take some time. We'll see if that's able to experience something. But right now, daily crossover, not a good sign for Sava. Just taking it very simply. Where could it head to? Well, we went up to this area before, so 2611 would be the first point to pay attention. You see some highs up in here, you see a high up in here, we see a gap at that level. So somewhere around that 27 to 2611 would be the first place to hold up. Yeah, my cost average is like, even with that buy at a little higher level, I think my cost average is still about like 480 for AMC. All right, let's go look over at Siri. This one was interesting. Why? Everyone's paying attention to it because Warren Buffett bought it, and we noticed the daily scale still trying to turn up fully here, kind of still holding some flagginess. If you take this out, you're still holding that flagginess. You see that. So what do we need to pay attention to? 4-hour rollover most likely is going to be important if that rolls down. Not happening at this moment, though. So if the 2-hour is able to roll back up, that would just be a 2-hour swing trade. You're pretty much looking for 2-hour swing trades across a lot of stocks. For a play in here, maybe. Dang, this thing has been ripping back and forth. What do I think of Nvidia? I think everything depends on the earnings, personally. I think it's all dependent on earnings at this point. We're seeing some crazy downward pressure right now. Crazy downward pressure at this moment. Just looking at SMCI, seeing if this thing could curl up after earnings, looking at the orders on that for now. GameStop starting to turn back up just a little bit here. We have the SPY still curling down. We have the dollar still scaling up. And we have that PCC coming in a little bit lower, actually, 0.87. We'll see what happens with that going on throughout the morning. Now, watch out for housing. The housing sector is showing a big divergence here. This can tell us that there is some weakness coming around the corner as well. Thoughts on Apple for the time being? Apple can head to the upside. We're waiting to see if this daily crosses down at any time. Even if we see that next move up, we're still going to look for what? A 2-hour divergence towards these highs. If we go into a 2-hour chart, you're just going to see that's starting to curl up. We could create some kind of divergence just right now, right? I think this could be an extended move as well, though. We'll see, but a lot of signals here. I think we got to pay attention to the fact that the dollar is trying to bottom here. Chewy looked great. Chewy's a fantastic... I wonder if that thing's been fought against yet. Has that thing been suppressed yet? 2-hour has curled up with the earnings positive territory. We'll see what happens with this going forward. Let's look at it on the daily scale. Daily rejecting the cross down. So this is a great sign for Chewy. Consolidating, breaking out, touching the top Bollinger. So if you're lucky, we could see a 30-minute pullback, but I don't know if this thing pulls back, man. Oh man, I don't know if that thing pulls back. Lisa, it depends on the environment, but sometimes when the dollar does go down, you do see that rotation into something like safety. Firehouse subs, I just like the sandwich, okay? Thank you so much, Short Fridays, for the $5. Appreciate that. For the most part, though, you can see times where in crash scenarios, people fly to that safety, and that can cause the dollar to actually come down as they are getting into other positions that are more safety. But for the most part, in a crash scenario, you will see that dollar still scale up later on if that happens. We could just see TLT go up in this scenario just because of rate cuts. SMCI now down 20%. 20%. My goodness. That is not good. And you know what's funny is this is down 20%. Someone in the chat, tell me why. What news is there with SMCI? Because I think it might be down 20% because Chewy's popping off. And they have to take some of that, they have to liquidate a little bit to pay to maybe suppress the stock or to suppress the other ones in case they would pop. I think that's possible. Hindenburg report. Short Fridays, thank you again for the $5. Nvidia is nuking, delayed with their 10K reporting. Ooh, ugly, Marvin. We don't like to hear that. NNE Lizard. Going to look at that, still 2-hour cross up. And I know it's boring to say, but 2-hour cross ups are all we're looking for across the board pretty much. Even if you go look over at something Palantir, you're like, okay, if the 2-hour can cross up here, that might be good. Do I get any kind of signal here? Well, I might be creating a little 30-minute divergence now, but that is pretty dramatic to the downside. So a lot can change with Nvidia earnings. Just remember that. We do have some people trying to go to the call. Well, pretty much sitting right in the middle for the PCC, so people kind of can't decide which way to go, it seems, at this moment. Volatility, I think the main signal to look for here is a 4-hour cross-up. If that 4-hour crosses up, look how much closer it is to that center line. That's momentum confirming, hey, we're probably going to take out this high, maybe go to positive territory and see something massive. That's crazy, though. So now you're seeing some of that maybe, well, I don't even know. Is volume coming in today? 32.6. We're pretty on par for yesterday, probably, so still not the most volume coming in. We'll see how that ends in about an hour or so. Dow was able to turn back up, so this thing not turning down just yet, right? Curling up on the 30-minute, so this one not turning down, so that's something to pay attention to. Tesla just not looking great. I won't be doing anything with Nvidia. What I'm more thinking of is looking at things like AMD, SMCI, even with that major downturn. Still looking for a 4-hour signal there. For Nvidia, though, this is curling down as of right now. The most likely direction is down. Everything can change with earnings, and then this 2-hour crosses up and everything's dandy, right? So I think that this 2-hour cross up, my question is, does this earnings, I don't want to trade around it because it's 50-50, but does this earnings mean good things for other stocks? Like, is this going to cause Microsoft to give this good signal? You see this signal on Microsoft, that 2-hour, see that 30-minute up by the center line, divergence all across this. So this is something I'm paying attention to right now. Yeah, so some high IV, which means pretty much all options could be priced out to where it's hard to make money with them. Bought SMCI at 450. Well, you still have a slight reversal. I mean, there was a reason you probably bought that at some point, right? But for the most part, you would say you need this 4-hour signal to start to turn the other way. Down 20% again. You're going to need this 4-hour signal to start to move up by the end of the day. Let's go take a peek over at PCC, still remaining at 0.84. We have the dollar still rising at this moment, paying attention to that bottoming in the dollar happening. Looks like bottoming signals to me. TLT and someone saying, you know, is it worth it with rate cuts coming in for that to happen? I mean, pretty much rate cuts will happen, and that will make TLT, you know, explode higher. I just want to make sure this daily is rolled back up. So at this moment, I'm still going to hold on to TLT for the most part, just in case. But if I start to see a little bit more weakness here, I might have to be out. You guys know this was my investment from the past, looking in this area right here. And now I'm back in it. So if I see this start to fall too much, I'll probably be convinced to get out, get back in. But I want to see the reaction to GDP and Nvidia earnings. Exactly, Jeremiah. Yeah, I'm seeing technical signals for a couple of stocks, Microsoft, AMD, even SMCI. They have stock, they have actual signals that if Nvidia gives good earnings, they could make those signals confirm and continue that upside. So I can just kind of sit back and not directly play the earnings. Okay, I want to do something. This is what I want. Gotta try to manage this thing quick. TMF, looking at this, it's going to be exactly the same as far as the look of it. Still looking at the same things. Does this experience some overall heavier weakness before we get some of that info? What I'm more looking like is, what if we get a pullback with that GDP, and then next week we get jobs data and we say, oh no, we need to cut by more than 25 basis points. That's kind of what I'm looking at. Yeah, we've looked at SMCI a bunch. It's down 20%, right? It's down 20%. We're looking for the daily signal in here now. Daily divergence pops up. Ooh, we can see some positivity for a little while. $140, Dennis. Oh, well, if you're saying a call wall at 130, I haven't really looked at that too much. But I would more so say 140 would be the level that I'm paying attention to for Nvidia. I think it could go up to about 140 for earnings. So even though Nvidia, a lot of stocks suffering for the most part, we have Tesla down, Amazon down. I mean, Tesla not down too much, but Amazon down almost 1%, Nvidia down, AMD down, Meta down, Microsoft down, Google down, Apple's up. So you're not seeing that really affect the SPY too much. I thought that's interesting. Apple's just remaining higher probably to hold up the market at this point, but I have no reason for it to hold up higher besides it decided to, and this hasn't confirmed down yet. Right? 30 minutes still positive, so upside still most likely not overbought. All right, I'm having a look at some stuff across the board here real quick. Well, a lot of people buying volatility for next week. Pretty crazy. Interesting. Yeah, it will move up as the SPY starts to drop and as volatility picks up. We're still looking for that 4 hours to fully cross there. Keep that order up there. As of right now, SPY showing the 30-minute rolling down, so downside most likely direction at this moment. Guess getting out of that QQQ call worked out. Yeah, and the same thing goes with my Microsoft, right? Microsoft, I got out of that just with a kind of a bad feeling from that dollar bottoming out. That I was just like, you know, Nvidia earnings is here. Let me just continue to be safe. You almost caught me. You almost caught me. My patience almost ran out, but it's still here. It is still here. Yeah, we can check on gold real quick. Gold giving some topping signals in here. So now you have 30-minute divergence, mainly the 2 hour behind it, right? You have 2 hour divergence, that is confirming. So gold is saying that it might cross down on the daily scale, which makes total sense. Now, why does this make sense? Because if gold is going to go down, that means the dollar is going to go up. What's happened with the dollar? The dollar is going up, so it makes sense for gold to come down. All right, if the dollar sees weakness, usually gold sees positivity. Made a 9.5% off of Chewy from 5K yesterday. Hit major trend line. They passed it, but I'm out. Hey, congratulations, Sid. Good little play there. Now we just have to also see, does volatility pick up right here, right now? Oh, yes, they did, Kalani. Oh, yes, they did. My goodness, SMCI still dropping down about 23% now. So the only way SMCI is salvaged is probably with Nvidia earnings. AMD dropping lower as well. Looking at this on the 30-minute, just paying attention to still holding those divergences. So there is possible outcomes for if this can go positive. We could see some mainly we're just looking for 2 hour signals, right? 2 hour crosses up, good things. 2 hour crosses up, good things. SMCI fell down a little too much, but you know, Microsoft 2 hour curls up, good things. Good little target up here for that zone. I like that. Pretty much looking for 2-hour curl ups across the board here, but things are really starting to drop off. So SPY starting to suffer a little bit more here. Remember, we can get even deeper on this 2-hour, see if we get down to this area today. Let's watch the 30-minute. Let's get a little closer. I'm going to go use the restroom just real quick. Good time to maybe check out some of those courses, guys. Maybe like the video. Be right back in about 1 minute. And we're back! We are back. One minute till posting? Till posting. Oh, what's that poll? What's that poll we're doing there? All right, let me go see what we're looking at here. Got some oil stuff going on, GDP tomorrow. Those are the main things to pay attention to. Looks like we're having no in the chat. I had to ask. I had to ask. Watch the courses while on the toilet, Lucas. Yes, 100%. They're great poop material. Great poop, great toilet learning going on there. We like to hear it. I'm just always gonna do this. Just always gonna have that in there. For the day, I'm gonna do that in case it sees another spike. GME crap, I almost said crap. Trap is closing. GME crap. It's just the Dow is still positive, so that's interesting. Utility turning up on a 30-minute. We'll see if that rolls back down. Dow, yeah, it's heading higher, but is that just going to set up another divergence point? A little bit worrisome going into Nvidia earnings, but anything can happen. 50-50 flip there. Yeah, so oils, yeah, we get that oil data in about, what, 30 minutes or so? So oil here, seeing a nice pullback, giving you divergence on the 30 minutes. So you would say that could roll up a 2-hour. Now this is the future, so 2 hours really the lowest we should be looking at. See the 2-hour divergence that led to that bottom. Now if that 2-hour can turn back up here, that would be a swing for the upside. When is the debate? I don't even know when the debate is, to be honest. I've been trying to stay away from politics. They kind of make me sick these days. Rotation into dividend plays. So not wanting to go as risky. See an SMCI curl down and down and down. We just got to see what this looks like by the end of the day, I think. September 10th. I don't think they want it to happen, man. I've seen some interviews and I'm like, damn. Trump's too obsessed with embarrassing, and I don't think Kamala knows anything she talks about genuinely. But both of them kind of not doing what I would say is the most important for them to do. Kamala needs to show that she has some good knowledge of the things that she's talking about. That never seems to happen. And I think Trump needs to stop bashing so much and just get to policy all the time and talk like he's pretty much president already. I think that would benefit him. But both candidates not doing that. They're both pretty much just attacking on random stuff at all times. At least one of them, you know, attacks on policy, but we'll see. Might be entertaining. Who will win the debate? I have no clue. Let's see here. Right now we have 33 votes in there saying 33% say Nvidia earnings will save SMCI, while 68% are saying no, it ain't gonna happen. Hain making another move. Oh god, let's go look. This one was kind of fun yesterday. So this is where what? Let's see. Did it give it to you? A little 30-minute pullback, but you know, that random upward price action. Again, if that crosses up, hey, that would mean positivity. Anything can happen. You have daily momentum with you here. It has curled up into positive territory. You're seeing something crazy. Do these have short seller problems? You guys got to tell me if the stock I'm looking at has short seller problems. All right, Perth. All right, Aaron. You got to tell me. GameStop earnings, I thought that was September 4th. Yeah, September 4th. It's just weird to see volatility popping off so hard. Or at least so many people trying to, at least, I would say, hedge. Oh, they bumped it? Okay. So they bumped it to the 10th. Okay, thanks for keeping me in tune. Thanks for keeping me with the info there, because I'm trying to stay off of socials for the most part. At least more than I have in the past. Still waiting to see if that daily can cross back down. Still looking for that 2-hour to cross back up, but that 30-minute has crossed down, so still most likely downside for now. Let's see if we see any things going on here. Dollar rising at a rate that would more so, I would say, affect the SPY, but it seems like it's affecting the Qs more dramatically at this moment. See if that's able to wick back up. Trump has no idea what policy is. I'd say you have a little debate on your hands for that. I think one knows money pumping socialist policies. The other one knows American policies, is how I see it. But it is what it is. You vote, I vote, and that's perfectly fine. We're all here to do the best we can with our vote, hopefully. Not just try to hate someone. Right? Some of us do want grown men whipping out their peepees and peeing next to their daughters. Some of us don't. And some of us buy guns because of that. So, other than that, we don't need to talk about politics. You vote for whoever you want to vote for. I don't care. I mean, I do care, but I don't care what you do. I care what I do after the election. That's all I care about. All right? Done. Discussion over. Loaded up on Tesla. Loaded up on Tesla here. Tesla still could, I know it's an awful play right now, but if Tesla sees that positivity, I think Nvidia could really set up a good move for Tesla. We shall see. Let's not, let's not turn our chat. Hey, at the end of the day, everyone has who they want to vote for. That's fine. You have your own opinions. That's great. But we're here to talk about stocks for the most part. I might even let out my opinion if you give yours in the chat. That's fine, right? But at the end of the day, we're all looking for the same thing, and that's to catch some moves in the stock market, right? We have something in common. That's why we're all here. So let's stick to that and just focus on that. You can vote for whoever you want to vote for. I miss the times when social media wasn't around and you could just vote and no one cared who you voted for because they know you're doing what you think is best for you and your family. So, and if that means you vote for whoever, if it's different from me, that's fine. Difference in opinion is perfectly fine. Just like if we have a difference in opinion on a stock, it's perfectly fine. Our home builders, construction, vehicle sales. Am I wrong or missing something? I mean, it depends on the quickness, right? It depends on the quickness. So if they're cutting rates really, really fast, you're at a time where the housing sector, the housing market in general could suffer because the prices are too high, buyers aren't coming back in. So if those drop dramatically and the buyers still do not step back in, that can be very bad for the housing market. Because if those are having to drop off dramatically because of, say, something like unemployment, then you have to say if unemployment is rising dramatically, then people who own homes are going to struggle to pay for those homes and they might try to sell those homes. So you might see an increase in supply, and if the buyers do not step back in because maybe they are unemployed as well, it's going to be very difficult to remain at those prices, aka the housing market actually could experience something bad, right? If we just think of it from a do people have jobs? If people don't, can they pay for their house? If people don't, can they buy a house? If you lost your job today, would you go out and try to buy a house? No, you might try to buy a house to downsize. So you could see those houses, those really cheap houses, keep their value for the most part, but houses in the anywhere over 300,000 above the average across the country could start to suffer a little bit because if unemployment is rising, then people might need to downsize, sell that home from that $300,000 price point, 350, 400, somewhere in there is where the average is, I believe. So those prices could suffer as people downsize because they can't pay for a home. So if you just think of it from an unemployment standpoint, people forgot how crap 2000 or 2008 were. Yeah, and you're totally right then there, Centurion. You're totally right. And we're looking a lot like, I would say 2007, 2008 right now, at least from what we were talking about. I mean, someone just bringing it to my attention, like, hey, everything you're talking about is what some other YouTuber mentioned, and that look is exactly how we formed that top in 2008. This look is how we formed that top in 2008. The Q is kind of making almost a double top. So yeah, you're 100% right. People are quick to forget when times are good, right? When times are good, everyone's complacent, you're content, you don't see anything bad coming around the corner. You're like, ooh, willy-nilly, everything's fine. And then once something bad happens, all they can think is bad, and then they're not buying at the right levels, right? It would be kind of that problem that most people have where they buy at the wrong levels, they sell at the wrong levels, right? So what ends up happening is people don't believe you're crashing, people don't believe you're crashing, people don't believe you're crashing, and before you know it, you're down 10% or something like that, and they're still holding stocks, and this is where they start to go, oh, this is really bad, they're selling, and then you see a bounce, and then those people get right back in thinking that's the bottom, and then you get a lower high. So not a good thing. But yeah, 2008 was pretty quick. I mean, overall, it was just leaking down over time, I believe. But for the most part, I would say, some kind of flash move could happen. And then I do still believe it could be a bear market. Yeah, was it that quick? I mean, I guess 2007, 2008. I guess the best thing to do is go back and look, right? That's 18. Here's 2007. So you see here, from when those signals were triggered, I have them marked off. We see May of 07. We didn't top until October of 07, and then we didn't bottom until March of 2009. So you still had some years. I guess that's relatively fast. You would say that's relatively fast, right, for the market. I think these 2 months really sped that up for the most part. So yeah, I mean, relatively, I guess you would say it was only a two-year crash type thing. And that's pretty quick, actually, now that I think about it. But I'm more looking at, like, is this going to happen? I don't think it happens like this. I think we would more see a market that kind of goes, okay, we're coming down for a few months. We see a blip. We see another one. We see a bigger blip. Then we curl down. That's what I think will more likely take place. But we'll see how it shapes up. You're at a time where bubbles can pop, and if bubbles pop, you might head down a little bit quicker. I thought we'd experience like a 5-year drawdown is kind of what I was thinking. But doesn't matter what I think, it matters what the signals look like, and if I still treat the signals like things are in a bear market, then I'll be in the right move at the right time, right? We think it was quick, but I just hope it won't be something like in China right now. What's going on? Well, what exactly is going on in China? Oh, we're not gonna, the thing is, and Sid, you know, we don't need to talk about those things. We're not gonna be able to figure out like those type of problems. If she said it and that's enough to convince you that's bad, overall building a wall I think would be maybe a good thing just because of the ease of access into the country, but we'll see. You know, I'm not, for the most part, guys, we're not in charge of these things. You're just in charge of your vote, right? And if everyone can treat it that way, you just kind of, you can say your comments, but for the most part, it's just, you know, we need to focus on stock market analysis. You know, that's kind of how I go. Like 4 straight years downtrend. That's kind of what I'm saying, Centurion. I'm biased. It's okay, yeah, as long as you're I mean, everyone has a bias in some way, I think. She keeps getting stolen from me on the weekend. Palantir, looking at that, still looking for that 2-hour cross up. Well, you might not be, the country might not be poor, but I think people are getting poorer and poorer because of inflation, and the policies that I've seen I mean, I can do a video about those policies, how it's just printing more money or taking more money from taxpayer, taxing unrealized gains and things like that. Those things are kind of something that more would hurt the middle class than anyone else. Rich people are very good at getting around taxes, guys. They always find the loophole. They pay tons and tons of money just to get around that loophole so they can save even more. So I just don't, I'm a person, I like a flat tax rate. I think we have too big of a government. That's all. You think we're in a bear market? You're not in a bear market right now. You're not in a bear market yet. I think a bear market could come if we start to actually see a good earnings, and then we start to fall off here with some bad unemployment data come around September 6th. Dollar starting to drop. Okay, so as we get some calls in there, dollar starting to drop off now, saying, hey, maybe people are buying in this area. We'll see, right? You can't bust them down. Well, go with the trend. Yeah, Sid. Sid, you're passionate about it. That's great. It's great to be passionate about something. But I think we have enough going on in the market that we all can be friends for the day, right? Yeah, I don't know how much I would trust Martin Shkreli, whatever his name is, for the most part. But if I watched the video, maybe I would feel differently. Neon likes freedom. Is there data coming out today? Just some oil data at 9:30. The real big day is tomorrow, though, guys. The real big day is tomorrow with the GDP and Nvidia earnings. That's what we need to be paying attention to. Oh, the only time I watch regular media is for parody. I will always look into things myself. I don't like that when a candidate is talking, some media just like doesn't show the talk. They just tell you what the person is saying, and I'm like, are they even saying that? So that's why I don't like it. I just watch it myself. The only way you can trust it these days, I think, is to watch things yourself, and that's kind of sad. Do I think the 2-week recovery is a bull trap? I think it could end up I think at the end of the day, it will end up being a bull trap. But we talk about this sometimes, right? We talk about this could be a trap on what scale. As of right now, the dollar is still lower while the stock market is going higher. I think that's perfectly fine, right? That makes sense. But as it bottoms out and we go higher, that's where we need to pay attention for that trap-like behavior. At the end of the day, though, I think we are going to either have on our hands a little 2-hour trap that has a daily trap behind it. I think we could also experience more upside that could get us into another weekly trap, right? We could keep experiencing upside for a little bit of time. But I think what you're going to experience is a daily trap. And the daily trap's going to look like a divergence, right? The daily trap's going to look like that, which is very, very similar to 07, 08. Very, very similar. And what that'll mean is we're going to see a little 2-hour pop like this, little 2-hour pop up, and then we see that start to fall. So we'll see some signals in here. Now, if this is going to behave differently, if say Nvidia earnings are bad, we keep seeing bad things, bad GDP, everything takes it as bad, that just rolls over right now. You pretty much have double top. I mean, you pretty much have it. But for the most part, this RSI moving sideways, I like that to see that blip up just to really get that FOMO in, all-time high narrative, and then you start to drop. I think that would be more dangerous for people's money, and I think that's how they could make a lot of money off of people. If they know, like, hey, we're gonna crash the market in a week with that data, they're like, all right, let's send it higher, get everyone baited in. Yo, I don't either, Centurion. I'm there with you. I really don't. I don't have the balls. SMCI dropping off like that puts a lot of fear, right? This can cause people to take some big plays to the downside on Nvidia. If you think about psychologically, you're looking for Nvidia earnings, and a stock that is relative to Nvidia does that. Wouldn't that make you go like before earnings, like, oh, I could catch a big move to the downside, right? The dollar's bottoming, right? And then Nvidia gives good earnings and this thing comes all the way back, or Nvidia gives good earnings and Nvidia pops up to 140. Jensen's been selling his shares for a long time. We talked about that back in before the split. We talked about him selling a bunch before the split too. Meta is going green. We're seeing that 30-minute rejection divergence as of now. 2-hour looks like that has a chance to curl up if this 30-minute bar can really hold strong for another 3-4 minutes. That is a solid move. We'll see if that 2-hour can cross. Simple 2-hour swing trade. Did you just shake your head, Bruce? Hi, buddy. He wants a pets. I saw a terrible video this morning. Oh, God. It made me so annoyed. But gosh. Too many are bullish on Nvidia and gives me a flashback that even though they will beat earnings and still dump. Yeah, that's it too. It's a 50-50 flip for a reason. They could say one good thing and the media uses that to tell you why it's heading high. They could have great numbers and then say, oh, but our projections are coming down. That can cause people to get out. Yes, spicy avocado. Yes, that's the video. Oh my God, I was just like, that dog's not even big. Like if my dog's bigger than that, both of my dogs, my 2 dogs are bigger than that. The dog literally didn't even look like it was biting or anything. It literally just like pushed on his leg. Oh my God, if that happened to me, I would see red. I love my dogs, man. I'm a dog guy. But there is one argument there that I could understand. I know. I always got to give the other side, which is you should be controlling your dog because you never know what could happen, right? And you can't really fight back against something, right? You can't really fight back against a cop doing that because your dog did approach him aggressively and they're going to side with the cop, even though I think it's stupid. But yeah, you gotta be controlling your dog. I mean, my dog got out when we first moved here. My dog got out. Bruce ran out and tried to play with another dog. He was not friendly, and the other dog started to attack its own owner. Yeah, that was kind of my question, though. Why was the cop kind of like near the property? Oh, Short Fridays, thank you for the $5 for the love of all that is holy. Enjoy a hook and ladder today. I will tell my wife. I'll text her right now. I'll tell her. Short Friday says we have to. We have to go get a hook and ladder sandwich. Alrighty, let's bring that to a close then, right? Let's see what this has stood at for now. We see, will NVIDIA earnings save SMCI? We have 43% saying yes with 77 votes. Thank you guys for voting. Thank you for, hanging out, contributing to the chat, voting in a poll. It means you're interacting, and I think that's fantastic. We see NVIDIA earnings saving SMCI. Well, 43% of people think yes in the chat as of right now with people who voted, and 57% say no, it will not. Let's end that poll so you guys can see that data real quick. Boom, there you go. Oh no, Jim Cramer's gonna ruin it. Is it gonna save SMCI? Well, we would say no according to the Jim Cramer laws. I'm a little skeptical too, Maka. I'm gonna call you Maka because it sounds cool. In the market corner, but it doesn't mean the cool off is out of the question. My whole thinking is not around the company. Mine's what would they want to do to trick people out of this market. Every single move we're making politically or not politically or moves with market makers is to screw over the retail trader. So what I'm more thinking is how would they screw over the retail trader the hardest? And I think that would be, this goes higher, right? And then we lead into something like a big piece of data like September 6th, and boom, that starts to head down. So it would make sense for us to do this, then see that curl up, then September 6th comes into consideration. Maka's a cool little nickname for you. Did he give it the death kiss? Yeah, well, kind of, right? And some of the time, actually, he'll be right initially, and then things drop off. It's more like a Jim Cramer indication would be for like a couple months later. It's like, oh, he said it's up today. Well, then it goes, or he said it's going to be up with earnings. Then it goes up for 2 days. He's technically quote unquote right. And then everything turns down. It's down 10% from where he said it could say it was going up. Right. Cheater, thank you so much for subscribing. Really appreciate it. Yeah, guidance. Yeah, it's always going to be because we're seeing upside. So the fact that you've seen upside and people are holding this at this level could mean, hey, they think it's going to be bullish for the earnings, right? This would say earnings is going to be bullish. So the projection is, okay, are we going to see more positivity? AKA, are we going to see future revenues that are growing, or are we going to see those revenues drop off? And I think you have more of an argument with the technicals here for this to head higher, but it just kind of sucks because they could just say something bad, and that could be the goal here is to send it down, and then we do something like this over time, right? And then we lead into an upward move in September. But I think what you get is an early September move up, and then that thing starts to come down. But that's just a thought. That has nothing to do with what is actually going to happen with earnings. It's just the behavior of the stock market I want to pay attention to. SPY curls up like that, I'm going to be like, uh-oh, what if something bad happens? Right? That says, hey, something bad could be around the corner. So that's what we're paying attention to. Even though we're getting this, this dollar popping off dramatically, the SPY is still remaining higher. So that would tell us the rigged behavior as people go to the call side. The dollar is higher, right? Go to the call side, 0.82, nothing crazy, but the dollar is going higher. The market's holding up. That tells me a shift down would make sense throughout the day. And then we have to see what happens going on into tomorrow as that dollar tries to kind of pull back down. You can always see another 2 hour come down and test that level again. Yeah, I think it's about a 13% move is what I have priced in for the earnings. Tom Lee seems like a guy who has insider info. He gives no true, at least whenever I watch him, I'm not seeing really good analysis of why certain things should happen. He just seems to know. So I think if you listen a little bit to Tom Lee, and the problem is, if you believe in what Tom Lee says, but he ends up being someone who's working for the insiders because he's always right, and then you believe he's always going to be right, and then you experience a time where he is maybe purposely wrong to mislead you because he's gained your trust, that can be a worrisome sign. I don't take any trades based on Tom Lee. I'll look for Tom Lee to say something and then look at the signals and say, okay, this looks good. Right? That's more so how I want to treat Tom Lee. But I think he definitely probably does have some insider info. That being said, is that going to be used against you at some point? Is it really to help you, or is he just someone who's maybe paid by the insiders to say those type of things to gain your trust, and then he's going to say something that's completely wrong one day? Right? It's like everyone will be like 99% of the time or 90% of the time he's right. It's the one time that he's wrong that can really, really hurt you. Oh, 100%. Yeah, it's really easy to trade when you buy Nvidia before you sign an AI package, right? Yeah, I don't like that at all. The value of the dollar is already devalued, right? And it's going to get devalued even more and more and more, especially as we keep adding things like those housing policies, tax policies, anything like that. It will devalue more and more and more if we keep experiencing inflation. I mean, I don't think Nancy Pelosi has sold her Nvidia, correct? I mean, I guess I can go check if people are selling their Nvidia recently. Usually they do it a little in advance because it's fishy if they do it the day before. Let's look for some sales. Someone sold some Carvana. Look for Nvidia. Whoa, when was that? So it looks like Wang Sun, the CEO, sold August 12th. He sold about $24 million worth. August 8th, he sold about $25 million worth. August 6th, he sold $24 million worth. August 2nd, he sold $27 million worth. July 31st, he sold 26 million. So you're looking at over 100 million in sales over the last month. Sketchy, sketchy. All right, that was boring. I had you guys on the dollar. I'm sorry about that. Oh man, we're getting tight again. Or something big coming, Chuck. Oh, I know. I think I've seen some of that stuff on Twitter. I've looked at it before. But I can also look at the SEC or the... Let me see what I have here. Yeah, I can look at the SEC filings for the most part. Bruce might have to take a dump. That could be it, Maka. It could be it. It's a lot of sales of the stock, though, I would say. Like, what's his percentage of... Oh, it's not giving me the percentage of holding. Let's see... No, that's buys and sells. Is there any buys recently? Yeah, there's no recent SEC filings for buys, a lot for sells. Oof, that's a lot of insiders. Yeah, Chewy's awesome. I think this is so much fun today to see Chewy doing this. I think that's so cool. This is something that most likely is going to keep gamma squeezing at this point. There's your rapid move to the upside, cuts through the resistance line here and gamma squeeze. So weekly not able to cross back down, so looks like some upside coming. Daily rejected, heading to the upside as well. We like it from Chewy. Dollar is still dropping off at this moment. Is that going to lead to some buying before the earnings? We will see. I sold my Chewy on the 19th. Grrr. Yeah, what the hell is gonna happen here? It's all leading into Nvidia earnings, though. Very, very cool. Yeah, and the dollar is going to experience pull. It's just like everything else. It can experience pullbacks. We just got to see if that starts to pull back dramatically to see what's going on there. The market's not necessarily like dramatically negative and the dollar's coming down, right? It's starting to go negative and the dollar's just starting to come down. Palantir, still looking for a similar thing, that 2 hour to cross up. You now have a point on the 30-minute for divergence. So if you see positivity, if this can get to positive territory, 2 hour curl up's what we're paying attention to here. 2 hour curls up. Hey, you can see something maybe like 34 in the future. Maybe something like 33.50. But everything's pointing down. None of this is crossing back up, right? So that's what we have to pay attention to. The signals right now are saying down. We need to look for if they start to rotate up, we have to react. Qs are dropping down a little bit heavier, right? You see that 30-minute crossing over, going into negative territory. So this can be a drop, right? This can really drop off. You want to see here, though, if it's able to hold this and not go down to here, or maybe see a wick down to here, that would be something to pay attention to. That 30-minute crosses up, positivity is the most likely option there. Tesla is still beating down, still holding a divergence point here. Say multiple divergence at this point. See if that's able to. Look at that, it's getting tighter and tighter still. It's not really breaking down. We'll see if that can just go like that. Ooh, good move to the upside if that 2 hour can cross. GME about to do a rejection divergence on the daily. Let's go check that out because that could be possible. Now, it's not a rejection divergence until we cut below, I would say, this level right here. Actually, I guess that low of the MACD was created on this bar, so you technically would have it if it can reject from here and start to head to the upside. Right, this area right in here is where you need to make that divergence with. You're kind of at that level, you're a little bit higher, but is that RSI much higher? Just a tiny, tiny bit. Where does that point start to? It starts on this green bar, so you got to come below this area here. So you're pretty much flat on that, slightly up on the MACD and RSI. Every day, crazy first hour, and then nothing. Lame. Warren Buffett bought Ulta? That's kind of crazy. Nope. Oh, great consolidation here for Ulta. This looks like 2 hour curl up could be a good thing, right? That just looks like great consolidation. Maybe even an hourly in this standpoint. Look at that, really close to the center line. That can pop up. You can see another positive move. Nvidia is looking weak, and my whole thing is, are they making it look weak because there are a bunch of calls? They want to convince people to go to the put side here. I don't know necessarily. I'm just seeing if a 2 hour can curl up into positive territory, trying to keep it simple. But earnings is probably going to be the deciding factor of that, so I'm staying away from this for the most part. Meta was positive, going back to negative. It's no Sephora. How does Warren Buffett always guess right? Well, he's looking at the numbers of the company. There is still risk in his. He's just taking the least risky plays. Well, it's like, that's why he sold a bunch of Apple. He's like, it's probably going down. You must believe in some small caps. Volatility, we can look at that from a 30-minute scale here. Seeing that as of right now, trying to curl down, but curling back up at this moment. See what happens with that, guys. Still, the 4-hour crossing back up is the important thing. You need to see more volatility, and that's probably not going to happen until Nvidia earnings, so after hours. We most likely will not have a closing stream today. We're going to talk about Nvidia after hours in the YouTube video tonight, and then tomorrow morning we'll get into it. I thought about doing a little late night live video tonight just to hang out, talk about what's going on with Nvidia as we get those numbers. Huge red candle here for the SPY, 4-hour pullback, pretty likely here. We'll see if that's able to add up to anything. Nvidia dropping again. DJT, the look here was, does it create that 2-hour divergence again, right? Does this 2-hour divergence complete? That's what I'm looking for DJT. It looks like we're going to go all the way down to my zone. This is kind of my buy zone in here. So this is where I could think about taking maybe a potential investment over time. But as a company, I don't think DJT has performed too well. And that's something to worry about, but I know there's a short seller problem in here as well, so it's something that you could, I'm thinking about maybe just holding some of it. Hello, Bowdy, how you doing? But yeah, 2-hour signal, if that can confirm back up, that's what I'm mainly looking for from DJT. SPY starting to see a little bit more steam to the downside. See if that continues. Nvidia is nuking, 2% down as of right now. Nothing that you haven't seen in the past few days though, right? 2% up, 2% down, 2% up, 2% down, 2% up, 2% down. So I know it seems that way, but for the most part, you just say this 2 hours still had some room left if it needs to keep dipping down all day, and then earnings are good, watch out. But 30-minute keeps confirming up, going down, confirming up, going down. Management of the trade coming in a lot. Has no leak. Well, there's something to understand here as well. It's that someone always has it before, and it's probably within the options data. But how does it not have a leak? Well, it's probably like, the people who know about these things most likely are insiders of the company. And if they would leak that info, they would immediately be fired, right? They might not want to get fired. And as far as it goes for Nvidia, you could get in a lot of trouble for leaking something with Nvidia because it holds such a heavy weight that politicians could get mad at you if that thing got leaked. So I think it's best for your health and benefit going forward not to leak earnings. Got my breakfast. Is this a hash brown egg omelet?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Oh shit, I don't have water. Damn it. I'm one of those people I have to drink while I eat. I can't just sit and eat. Okay. Let me go grab a water real quick. I'll be right back. Grab me a water, I'll be back. It's hot. We're back. We're back. Had to grab a little water. I know, you guys missed me. I could tell. I could tell. Yeah, we can check path. Let's go, more Pando. UI path. Okay, so there is some 30-minute signals going on here saying there could be weakness as of right now, but notice that those never really play out. So you probably want to look at a bigger time frame. I'd be looking at this 2 hour, seeing how that's getting overextended. It would more so just tell me if I want to get in on this. Look for a 2 hour pullback. You know, big moves can happen, but 2 hour pullbacks are great. At this moment, you want to see if that's keep popping off, right? Maybe see if like a good investment over time. It doesn't mean it can't be a good investment over time, right? Maybe looking at a weekly chart or something like that, seeing that start to confirm up. So that could mean you have weeks of positivity to come in, but there will be pullbacks within that. As of right now, looking at the 30-minute, I would look for the next opportunity for a pullback on the 30-minute. That's kind of what I would do. If that is elongated, then look for that 2 hour. For the most part, that looks like some weakness there, but it's far away from the center line. We see that downward move here for the RSI, just telling you, hey, this might need to rebuild a little bit, right? You just got to be worried that something like this is happening and something bad, right? So then this, something bad with divergence, Notice at the high here, you had pretty much a triple divergence at the high. So you could experience a moment like that as well, where this continues to go higher, blips down, continues to go higher, and then, bad things can happen. So not really liking the look too much for a short-term play, but on the weekly scale, it looks okay. Nvidia going down towards that 125 level again. That's a very key level. I'm going to try to leave this on the SPY and finish my breakfast with you guys. Aladdin. Doesn't that make you think of Roaring Kitty a little bit? Oh my gosh, this is so good. Trust me, Scott, I need to eat. I'm the worst eater. I'm supposed to eat like, I want to keep growing. I'm supposed to eat like 2,500 calories a day. I only eat like 1,700 a day, which is really bad because I think my baseline, I'm supposed to eat like 19 to 2,100. But I do agree with you. I don't think breakfast is the most important meal of the day, but it is for some of us who need to grow, because I'm still trying to get back to my 180, 185. Lost way too much weight last summer. Too much stress going on. But now we're Gucci. That's all I'm 5'10". Nice and average. Average all around, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, 180 is solid. When I was playing soccer, I was about 165, 170. But I was a strong 165, 170. I used to be able to deadlift like 325 5 times when I was 170. Can't do that now. I got to get back to training. So after this, I'll be putting on a tank top and going to the gym. Who's down? Palantir, more downside today? Let me go look. Give me a sec here. Palantir, the options data says this is about as low as Palantir should go for the entire week. Exactly, Kalani. And if you're like me and you're bad at eating, that's just not a good recipe for growth. I need to get stronger. I got to be able to hold that AR-15 up for longer than how I can hold it right now. Shot like 2 full mags. My arm's just like cramping. Yeah, we stick to mostly protein, eggs. We go through so many eggs, guys. We eat an insane amount of eggs in this household. It's crazy. We eat eggs with almost every meal. We like Japanese stuff, and all of that stuff has eggs. So right now I literally just have eggs and hash brown. And it's not a lot of hash brown. It's mostly egg. But the hash brown's just enough to give it that hash brown stuff, that hash brown flavor, which is great. I really want to pay attention to this guy. I want to see if by end of day these things can start to turn up. But maybe that dollar would have to come off to tell us that. Volatility starting to see a little pop here. Spicy pickled eggs. God, you sound like my sister. My sister loves pickled anything. She pickles her own stuff. What happened to Roaring Kitty? He's probably just sitting on the sidelines buying some assets. Not telling us because he doesn't want to get in trouble. I think that's fine. Think about it. If you were the short seller right now, you're the same thing. Like, you're like, okay, think of it this way. You're right now going, what is Roaring Kitty doing? Right? God, I wish he would tell me something. Now imagine you're a short seller. Imagine you're a short seller. Wouldn't you be saying the same thing? What is Roaring Kitty doing? Market maker, what is Roaring Kitty doing? They have no idea, except they're coming from a standpoint of fear. Yours is like hopeful that he'll tell you something good to make the stock move. At the end of the day, he's not going to make the stock move. Short sellers will. My old neighbor does. Well, it depends on his goal for this, and I think Roaring Kitty has come forward. I think all the stuff that he's posted gives you a pretty good insight if we just like think of it for what it is. He does not like the problem that's going on in the market, and I think that's all he's doing. I don't think he will stop. I don't think he's trying to make money out of this. I think he will end up making money out of this, but I don't think he's really trying to make a ton of money. I think it's just something that can happen as he brings the problem to light, and he has enough money to make it come to light, maybe. Roaring Kitty was a psyop. How? Like, the thing is, people who say Roaring Kitty's a psyop, how? I want to know how. Like, what? You know, like, he always would say buying the stock, all that kind of thing, but you know, it just doesn't make sense. Like, I can't even think about how that would make sense. He's a psyop because people are now buying the stock even more and holding the stock, making short sellers waste billions and billions of dollars all the time. I just don't see it personally. No, it's just incorrect. I think everyone reads too far into it. I think everyone reads too far into it. Like, if he was a psyop, wouldn't they be talking good about him and trying to encourage you to buy AMC? Because if he's a psyop, that means AMC and GME won't pop off. So wouldn't they encourage you to buy that so that you're just sitting there in that and then it goes to zero and you lose everything? Wouldn't that make more sense? It doesn't make sense that you're seeing things like Chewy and other things start to pop off. Cost had its pop off, and we're supposed to expect that's helping government and helping other. I don't see it personally. I think you're just getting it a little backwards, though. Putting all our money into a fully controlled stock. Yes, you're correct. It's fully controlled by them at this moment. You're looking for the time where they lose control. But I'm just saying, like, how are you losing money in AMC? Like, how are you losing money in GME? Like, genuinely, if you were like basing it off of Roaring Kitty, and you're like, okay, Roaring Kitty is trying to be a psyop, whatever. It's like, okay, so you bought GME at $12, it's sitting at $21. I just don't see it. I genuinely don't see it. I don't see how that's a psyop. I mean, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and that's perfectly fine. But I mean, if anything, it's still a good investment. If you bought when he came back around these levels, you're still up like 10 points. So I just don't see it. Now, this isn't Roy, this is people buying and stuff like this. This was just momentum. But you would say anywhere in this area he convinced you to buy, is this a terrible investment at this point? No. What does this signal say to do, by the way? When this thing does cross up, what does it say to do? It says possibly a good investment for 12 to 24 months. Has it been 12 months? Has it been 24 months? No. So I just don't see it personally, and that's perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. You know, I could be wrong at the end of the day. It could be a psyop. Who knows? But for the most part, I would say I'm going to believe in the fact that when he was interviewed by the SEC or by Congress and things like that, he said that he would hope that there is a market that's built to where the retail trader can actually win, and it's not controlled by these things, and they should investigate it. They didn't investigate it. So if you're a vengeful person and you have some money, wouldn't you try to do something to make the problem come to light? If that was your sole thing and you were the leader of this? I would say, yeah, I still believe it's perfectly fine. I think he's doing exactly what he needs to do. Remain quiet. Remain quiet. Because you're asking the same question that a short seller is asking right now. You're asking the same question that the short seller is asking right now. You're asking, what the hell is Roaring Kitty doing? The stock's not going up. I'm holding it, and it's still remaining at a good level. Now, think of a short seller asking the same question. What the hell is he doing? We're losing billions of dollars every month. That's a lot different. It depends on how you think about it, but the only way they make their good money, the problem with saying they've made money, it's have they made enough money to then pay for the stocks that they have borrowed or something like that, right? They obviously can't fully make money out of the play, which is this goes to zero. So they obviously haven't made enough because they're not willing to just get out of the play. Right? What if they just got it? If they've made enough money, then why are they doing it? If they're not hurting, then why are they still suppressing the stock? They could just get out of all their stuff and be like, we're done. But there's obviously some problem with that. Yeah, I think it's perfectly fine that AMC and GME are down. I knew that it wasn't going to be a smooth ride. Wouldn't expect it to be. But I'm just saying, I just don't think that holds too much weight. I don't think him being a psyop makes any sense whatsoever. It's like because that would mean that he's just the greediest man ever. Because it's like the first time it happened, he maybe made somewhere around $50 million. Let's say he made $50 million. Wouldn't that be enough? If you made $50 million tomorrow, would you even look at the stock market again? Or would you just be like, yeah, I'm pretty set? You know what I mean? Like, who would make, unless he just got a serious touch of the greed, I just don't see it. I think they thought this guy made $50 million. He's going to go away now. And then he came back. That's what I think. And I think that he's doing exactly what he needs to do, stay in the dark, because the more he's in the dark, the more they can freak out. And then he just lets some gamma squeeze take over for Chewy, let the gamma squeeze take over for Cost, let the gamma squeeze take over for maybe AMC and GME. And then he just sits there all pretty. He didn't say a word. Yeah, and that means he's still trading, and that's perfectly fine. But I'm just saying, if you think of this from a psychological standpoint, if I made $50 million today, would I continue to risk that money, or would I make safer plays and then just live my life? Well, I would make safer plays and live my life. But obviously, he has some kind of, I would even say, vendetta. I think he does have a vendetta. That's it. But looking forward, we got things going on like AMD really dropping off. We got Nvidia dropping off. We've got Amazon dropping off. We've got Tesla dropping off. We've got Apple dropping. Well, actually, Apple holding up a little better. We'll look for that 2-hour signal to confirm down, confirming down at this moment. So most likely the signal is telling you downside. The only problem with all of these stocks is we have something like Nvidia earnings right around the corner. SMCI now down 24%, going down to our bottom of our channel, actually. Right, we took an even one with the highs here, and we just made a little channel. We're going down to that area. We'll see what happens with that. If that 2-hour can cross back up, that might be okay. Still looking for the 4-hour signal. I think that's the main one to pay attention to. Buffett just announced sold more Bank of America stock, $981 million. Thank you so much for notifying us and giving the $5 there. No, the point is he made $50 million the first time. So why even come back at that point? The why matters. Does he want $1 billion? Is that the only reason he's coming back, or what? I don't see it. And, you know, it kind of proves you wrong in how he treated the first squeeze. He could have made $25 million one day. He didn't. It went down to like 500K. Then it went back up to $50 million or something like that. So, hey, he had $1 billion for a day and he didn't take it. So did he screw, like, if you're saying he's going to screw over retail traders, then wouldn't he screw over retail traders in some way by taking that out? He didn't. So it's just that doesn't hold water to me, personally. Oh, yeah, see, that's probably different, but that could be timing, right? I'm someone who takes accountability for my stuff. I'm never going to blame someone else for my decision when I clicked the buttons on the screen. I clicked the buttons on the screen. So I'm not going to blame someone else for my wrongdoing. Not saying you are, I can understand that sentiment towards it, but it's just, I made a decision at the end of the day. That's what it can all come down to. I don't know, it could be Geopolitical Pitching Academy. Let's go see what's going on in the world out there. Let's see here. Thank you so much, Short Fridays, for the $5. Yeah, technically you're holding exactly what you bought, the amount of shares that you decided to buy, right? That's a good way to look at it. But it's still up to you, isn't it? You could be out of it completely and say, I'm not getting scammed anymore. That's perfectly fine if that's your sentiment towards it. It's not mine. I'm sorry that loss happened, though. Those are rough. 40% on Nvidia put, that's what we like to hear more, Pando. Just make sure, remember guys, before the earnings, if we're in profit in any way, a lot of the time it benefits to play with that house money. I'm gonna just say that again, playing with house money is something that I like to do a lot of the time. It's just, I know it's a gambling phrase, but we're going down towards 125. This is earnings, it's going to be very, very different maybe tomorrow. If you want to see if this thing has some major gap down or something like that, that's awesome. If I'm in profit, hey, I'm taking some of that profit to make my risk a little bit mitigated there. Yeah, well, my problem with unrealized gains and how now they're going with that, it's like, is that going to leak into the housing market too? Like, if the value of your house goes up, do you pay more in taxes? Ugh. You know, like, does it go into housing as well? Does it go into your 401k as well? Does it go into anything else? It's like, my goodness, once you just say unrealized gains, it's like, okay, so your whole life is taxed now? I was literally discussing this with my wife, and I was like, it's crazy how these taxes are all adding up. It makes me want to go Amish. It makes me want to go Amish, but still at that point, it's like, even if I bought land or something like that, am I going to get taxed more on that land if that value of the land goes up? It's like, that's just horrible. That's horrible, horrible policy. Where's Sid? Wow, made almost 7K shorting Nvidia today. Congratulations, Sid, nice job. Just a 30-minute curl over can help us a lot. Congratulations. Good trade, Sid. That's what we like to hear. Shout it out from the rooftops. Go high five yourself in the mirror. Just bought 213 calls on Nvidia that expire in 2 days for about $3 grand. Okay. Well, you're making a decision. We get it, and I agree with you, Christopher. But we get it. We hope that that decision goes well for you. Just know that you're playing a little bit of a risky game, but hopefully you have taken that position, looked at it, and said, "Hey, I'm willing to risk that amount of money." Well, the good part is if they really wanted to implement something, they could do it right now, right? Technically, they are in charge, right? Technically, those people with those unrealized gains standpoint are in charge, and they're not doing it now. So they're probably going to use it as a tax the rich scheme, but we all know whenever a lawyer comes up with a policy, most of the time it ends up hurting the middle class because business people will always find a way around those tax incentives, those expense incentives and things like that. So it's like, oh, we're going to raise income tax. Okay, I just won't pay myself a salary. Oh, we're going to raise the corporate tax. Okay, we're going to donate to charities that are connected to me in some way, right? They will always find a way around it. Well, they won't do it before the election. No, they wouldn't do it before the election because they need to somehow get votes. Everyone needs to try to get votes, right? Down 1.3K on Nvidia right now. If it hits 2K, then I'll be losing all my gains from last month and come out empty-handed. Well, at least you can think of it one standpoint. At least you're not fully backwards multiple months. Layoffs at Bungie, so I hope it works out. Hey, I hope so too, Sid. 10K from SMCI puts. There he is, Alan. We have a person. Someone made money off SMCI. Let's go. But I made the safe decision and took profits. Alan, I like to hear. Congratulations on that play. That is fan-freaking-tastic. Congratulations. That is awesome. Let's all give a cheer out for someone making money off of SMCI. Let's go, Alan. And you spell your name exactly how my dog's name is spelled. Tesla to 204 right now. Breaking out of the zone. Not a good sign, man. Daily crossing over for Tesla. We got to watch for the end of the day now. What I want to see is I want to see that dollar turn down a little bit and see that PCC go higher. Dude, Nvidia. Yeah, I saw Nvidia just crashing down for a moment there. I was looking at it on this 30-minute, just watching it go and go and go and go. They're coming for the Amish too. I know, that's why I was like, I want to do that, but then they're going to start to, they're going to start taxing food that you make on your land or something like that. You know, eventually it's going to be like, they're just going to tax every single thing they can. I hate that standpoint. Could it be a leak about Nvidia? It could be. It could just be market makers funking with the price to convince people to go to the short side. Is it working? Well, we're starting to creep up towards that short side. We'll see. SPY starting to drop down. We'll see if that can hit a daily expected move. That's what I say, short Fridays. I've said that in the past. It really did seem like back when the GME and AMC thing first happened in Nvidia, it really seemed like someone was just like, go higher button, go lower button. Matter of time before they tax air. Yeah, they'll tax clean air. That's the crazy part for me. It's like they want to get rid of cows, which stimulates the ground to create grass, which stimulates to make oxygen, trees that create oxygen, and all these things. And it's like, if you start to mess with how things are now, the thing that I would encourage a lot of people to think about, especially with politics, is like a lot of the times politicians put forward something they think is good, but they don't think 3 steps in advance of what could happen next. It's crazy they want to get rid of cattle and things like that. It's like because they fart too much and stuff. It's like because they poop too much. It's like, well, they actually help produce some of the most oxygen on the planet. Yeah, it's a computer program, and it's created by, yeah, the market makers came out, Citadel even came out and said, yeah, it's all an algorithm that they can mess with. How important are the tightness of Bollinger Bands? Well, the Bollinger Bands are just a good way to start to look at the tightness, right? Start to look at, hey, are we going to see a big move soon, right? Something like that can happen. You see we're a little bit tighter in this area, right? We get a little tight. So you know a big move is coming, big move comes. Get a little tight, you know a big move coming, big move comes. That's more so how I think about it. Now, Bollinger Bands can be a good assessment of what, hey, how high or low a stock could go. Sometimes I think they have options data in these as well. So it's like, how low could the SPY go? According to the options data would be, yeah, our weekly side this, but in the grand scheme of things with the trend, it could be all the way down towards this low down here at this point. So you're still very spread out, meaning we still could see rip around moves. As that gets tighter, you start to see smaller moves, and then that spreads out. So now you're just seeing rip around moves maybe. But Bollinger Band's getting tight. It's just a way to look at price action in a way that says, oh, price action getting tight, a big move can come. It's kind of like this here for Apple. You see how this gets really tight. Okay, a big move can come. Earnings comes out, the big move comes. Then we get tight again, and a big move comes, right? So then you get a little bit tighter in here, just a little bit, and big swings start to happen. So do I read into Bollinger Bands and use that as to how to make a trade? Sometimes I use it to convince me to hold a trade, right? When this, say on the SPY starts to cross above that 20, okay, that means we're going to do what? Maybe test top Bollinger. Okay, we're getting towards that level. Have we fully tested it yet? No. So what if a move like that does happen? That's kind of what I'm paying attention to. I noticed a lot of movement on the tight Bollinger Bands. Yeah, so yeah, that's what happens. You go into periods where they'll spread out and then they'll get really tight, right? They'll be tight, they'll spread out, then they'll get tight again, and then you'll see another big move in one direction. But overall, it just means implied volatility might be increasing after that. Implied volatility kind of contracts as well and then expands. Burlington, looking over at this guy, it's good price action to the upside, but still just very squeeze-like behavior, and you're just creating another point of divergence telling you Burlington could actually suffer if it crossed over on this MACD. That's how I see it at this point. All right, that's the main signal I see in front of me. Now, is this going to roll over right now? Well, let's look at a 2-hour and see if there's some weakness. You do have some weakness in this, so this could start to roll soon. Is that going to straight up go into a negative trend? Well, no, it's still far away from the center line, so you do have the opportunity to either move sideways, right, or even pull down, right, pull down like this just briefly and curl right back up, make that little cup and handle or something like that. So still paying attention to this. This means weakness is here. If that can curl back up, that'd be a good sign. The only problem with this as well, with all this analysis, is look at the E. I always say I hate when I look through a stock, I'm looking at the signals, I see a little form of weakness here, I see a little form of weakness right there, and then I see an E at the bottom of my screen. I hate it. Yeah, Nvidia is just plummeting as of right now. Going back into this zone here. Remember, we just stayed, 2-hour pullback is still there. 2 hours still has room to get to that center line. So pulling back to this area, we talked about this type of look, right? We've talked about that a lot. Some kind of head and shoulders in this. And what'll happen with earnings is if we get down to this level, and then we have enough liquidity to not make this right shoulder, that's when you could see a big gap up. So we'll see. It could easily gap down. It could gap up. We just got to see how much it is going down, how much it is going up, what we see after earnings. I'm not going to play this in any way. No. If anything, I'm just looking over at Microsoft going, man, I hope that thing holds up a little bit better. I hope this 30-minute signal doesn't drop down too far and we start to build back up. That's what I want to pay attention to. SMCI now going down towards 400, going down towards the bottom of our channel. And that's one thing too, the Dow still remaining relatively strong, but when you zoom out, you kind of look at a 2-hour here, you go, it has confirmed some divergence here, so we could experience weakness. Yeah, NF. So my expectation for Nvidia is still, I still think you are very, very likely, even with this 2-hour turning down, we're still getting closer to that center line. Yeah, that's something that's likely as that dollar has popped up, right? We saw people kind of towards the call side. But if all of this is just going to be, oh, and then Nvidia earnings sends you higher into September 6th, that's what I'm paying attention to. I think that look would really trap some people, and then we get jobs data on September 6th. No, mine should be the same. Mine should be the same, 12.26.9, 12.26.9, close EMAs. That's so cool, Hoshi. That's awesome. Well, I don't play Nvidia earnings. I'm more using what the SPY would do. So I'm looking at this from a stock market behavior standpoint, NF. I'm more looking at this from how they could trick a lot of people into going to the call side. Because right now you have everyone, you know, a lot of people with some puts coming in, right? We have some puts starting to come in. We'll see puts were bought over the last few days. So if they wanted to hurt these people, not as many bars down in this area, right? Now, there were before, but all those people might have flipped, and then now they're saying puts. So I'm more just paying attention to the fact that we can see a sell-off because of this, because the dollar is higher, right? The dollar is really giving bottoming signals here. It looks like the dollar is bottomed here. Want to be very clear about that. And the SPY is starting to roll over. So what we need to see here is two things. After Nvidia earnings, does it curl up this 2-hour chart, as that is still in positive territory, or after the earnings, does it give enough weakness to curl down a daily chart? Because if it curls down this daily chart, you got a good shot of going negative. You got a good shot of coming all the way down to this low. So it's paying attention to a couple things. Dell really flagging out here. I like it. If it needs a stronger base, daily divergence would be nice. I know we got earnings, so we'll try to do as much technicals as possible. Just know that the technicals can go out the window. What's happening with the 2-hour? Right by the center line, right? We still have more room to go down by that center line. We could come fill a gap. It'd all be a trap, and then everything starts to go up, right? It's all dependent on Nvidia earnings, and I guess you would say as well Dell earnings as well for this one. As far as a bear trap goes, we need to see this dollar dropping off a little bit more, but it did start to drop as the market's dropping. Out of Nvidia with 70%. Congratulations, More Pando. Great job. Great job. We love to hear it. That's awesome. Now you just go, okay, now I can watch the fireworks with my gain, right? We went down into our zone. That's perfectly fine. I think that's actually a pretty good thing. As we look over at that, Nvidia could go a little lower, but looks like something like 140 would be a pretty good level for Nvidia. What's going on there? Let's see what things are being talked about. Bank of America just in. Warren Buffett sold another 981 million shares of Bank of America. Buffett now holds 278 billion in cash and selling stocks like never before, including Apple. So now selling even more of Bank of America. seems to be what mostly people are talking about. Bitcoin is crashing. Bitcoin down 1%. Still want to pay attention to the bigger time frames, like a 4-hour is pulling back down into some liquidity here. We'll see what happens from there. Really rotating around though. You got to be aware if this thing crosses back up and a 4-hour crosses back down, even a 2-hour, if that would cross back up, we'll look how deep that is into negative territory. So you can see that cross up, just reject from here, turn right back down. So that's what I'd be looking for Bitcoin. I don't think this crashes forever. We'll see after Nvidia earnings. I think you have a chance for this to build up and then curl back down, kind of give you that move up to the center line or consolidate, right? We can move sideways. I think in this liquidity, you want to build something here. I wonder short Fridays. It's almost like we might have to cut rates a little faster because maybe something bad's going to come around the corner. We'll pay attention to September 6th. Let's go crazy on eggs. I'll go to Tokyo, man. My friend lives in Okinawa, so we're still trying to visit them next summer. I think we're trying to visit them. I want to go so bad. Buffett not having this much cash on hand since the 2007-2008 crisis. I don't think it's a crash for Bitcoin yet. We got to see more price action. I think this is a very rapid downward move, but notice again, it happens when right before Chewy pops off and a few others pop off. So I'm actually pretty excited for September for AMC and GME, to be honest. I think it has good potential. I know everything's red and everyone will be like, how could you say that? But for the most part, I'm like, I'm just saying how I'm feeling. I feel optimistic. Signals look bad on the shorter time frames, not curled up on the daily, right? But for the most part, still optimistic. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying, Trevor. That's why I'm kind of like, ooh. It's weird how these days I like liquidity problems. VIX now up 8%, rocketing to the upside. We got to see if that daily can curl up first off. For now, we got to look for the short signals, seeing if the 30-minute can turn back down. Yes, Bruce, hello. How are you doing? You doing good? No jumping up. Stay down. Good boy. I'll pet you. What's the matter, big guy? What's the matter, Mr. Crocodile? Usually you're just content while I stream in your bed. You might be trying to tell me something. Exactly, yeah, that's true. Chewy is up today, and that's why I'm saying they might have liquidity issues. I'm still, I still have my bias, what I'm leaning towards, 2-hour curl-ups and stuff like that, but if things start to escalate on the daily scale, I will change those positions around, right? I'm just wondering, my genuine question on the poll there was is this guy going to be saved down here? This would really convince people to go to the put side. And we're slowly creeping up to that level. Volatility, 2-hour. 2-hour has crossed up for volatility, so it looks like volatility is most likely going to be here all day today. You're right about time decay on VIXI options. I have $13 strike and barely up $20. Last week was up $2.25 on same move. Yeah, the volatility time decay is difficult to deal with. That's going to happen on things like SQQQ, TQQQ, SPXL, XPXS. All those kinds of things are going to lose money very quickly if the move doesn't happen right away. Yeah, and SMCI really breaking down here. It's kind of hard to be like, yeah, this can see some kind of bullish move going forward when that's happening, right? When this daily's crossing down, that's not a good thing. How low could it go before earnings? Something like 112. I think 112 is the key level. So you can go a lot lower. Has a lot of implied volatility for this week. So these rip around moves and this tightness here still makes sense. Okay, really got to go. Thanks for the base combos, everyone. Thank you for showing up today, Hoshi. Have a great day. Yeah, something like 112, I think, is as low as it could go. Now, if you get past those levels, right, you get below 112, it can really start to escalate. If you get above something like 145, you can really see some squeezing. But 140 and 112 are the main levels where the options data has that priced in at, somewhere around those levels. All right, guys, and we are sitting at about 10:30 for me. I know it might be a different time for you, but it's 10:30 for me. So today I am going to be hopping off. I have to go see some family. I haven't been able to see a lot of family for my birthday. So my mom wants to have me over. She got a little bit sick, so we couldn't see her with baby girl. So we're going to go spend some time with family this afternoon. I encourage you to go get yourself some good lunch. I did short Fridays. I did text my wife saying we have to go get some Firehouse subs today, so we might go do that real quick. But I just want to say thank you guys so much for joining today. I think it's awesome. If things really do get wild, I'll try to hop back on, but for the most part, just a YouTube video tonight, so make sure to have those notifications on. Make sure you are subscribed, and we will be live tomorrow morning, maybe even doing something fun live tonight to watch some NVIDIA stuff and see what signals are looking like in the futures market. I think that would be pretty fun. So thank you guys so much for joining. Really appreciate it. Congratulations to anyone who's able to make some money, especially Alan. I think Alan and Morpando able to make some good money with the stuff, really seeing some good volatility in it, right? Seeing that with Nvidia, seeing that with SMCI. So congratulations to those players in those moves. Now pay attention if 30 minutes start to cross back up. We could see some positivity. We'll find out as the day progresses. Qs might just be heading down towards the daily expected move. SPY might be heading down towards a daily expected move. So thank you guys for joining today. I will see you guys later. If things get a little wild, I'll come back live, okay? Have a great day, guys. Peace out.